Hey, listen, I'm really excited about this because I've wanted to talk about warranties for a while, and it's our friend Greg. So we can't say anything bad, right?
I don't think I've ever talked to the guy.
He's an awesome dude. He is a really super nice guy.
It's a beautiful
He's
day
a super
out today.
nice guy,
Good morning.
super positive.
Good morning, good morning. Of course, I'm here at the shop today, and I got a very important reason why I wanted to really start this video off as soon as I got into the shop. Hopefully, we're going to get some people in here. You can chat it up a little bit, but I wanted to bring your attention to vehicle car warranties or service contracts that all of us are, we get approached by, we get solicited on, and of course with used car purchasing, or even when our new car warranty runs out and we get into an extended program, we want to be aware of the shortcomings that some of these third-party warranties and service contracts will unfortunately offer, right? I
do not love extended warranty companies. I hate them. I think they rip my clients off.
Do you deal with any of them?
Oh, I do, but I think that's ending very, very soon. I've got a truck in here and they wanted me to pull the heads off of it to prove that an MLS gasket had failed. And they're like, if there is no like visible failure in the gasket's not bad. I'm like, but I've given you hydrocarbon detection of the coolant. I gave you a block test. I gave you a pressure test, and I can show you where coolant's in the cylinder. They're like, yeah, but the terms and conditions say that if there's no visible failure, we're not covering it. And by the way, yes, we did tell the client if it was a coverable thing that you could remove the head. You knew it had MLS gaskets in it. Scumbags.
Every car has MLS gaskets now.
I know.
They don't have graphite gaskets anymore. So we had a Hyundai Sonata come in, or no, it was a Santa Fe. Mm-hmm. It had blown the head gasket.
Yeah.
I don't know why it blew the head gasket. The radiator fans were working. There were no coolant leaks.
Right.
The car at some point overheated, I think. Well, it had lost the coolant, so it was overheating. But what was causing the overheating was the loss of coolant due to a blown head gasket.
Right.
But normally it's the other way around. The car overheats because of a bad water pump, low on coolant, some kind of coolant leak, radiator fans aren't working, whatever.
Right.
The car overheats, then blows a head gasket.
Exactly.
That's not what happened in this one. And so we went in cylinder. Mm-hmm. And as you increased pressure, you could see we had put a pulse sensor in the cooling system. Mm-hmm. And when cylinder one was on the compression stroke, you could see a big old hump in the with the pressure sensor in the cooling system. This is 100% irrefutable.
Yeah, of course.
There's no way around this. You've got a blown head gasket on cylinder one.
Absolutely.
Cylinder one is
without
leaking
a doubt.
into the
without
cooling
a doubt.
system.
No
100%.
questions asked.
Yeah. They said, no, we won't accept that. You have to tear into the engine. And by the way, you have to get approval from the customer because if we don't cover it, they're going to have to pay the teardown. And I said, okay. So we get approval from her. And she's like, look, I already talked to the warranty company, and they said that they're going to cover it as long as you do this teardown. So I'm pretty confident where this is going to be fine. And so we did. We pulled the engine in. It sat at our shop, I think, for about a week.
Right.
We pull the car in, tear into the engine, and we find 100% cylinder one. You can see where the head gasket failed. You can see where the problem was. Like, we have a problem with the engine. And so we recommend a new engine. And so we call the customer, say, hey, this is what we found. We're going to call into the warranty company and get approval for a new engine. We call into the warranty company. Warranty company goes, I'm sorry, this policy was canceled like 3 days ago. And we go, what do you mean? Yeah, it was canceled. By the customer? I'm not sure. It doesn't say for non-payment, so I'm not sure what's going on. We call the customer up, and she's like, what are you talking about? Yeah, it says that you canceled the warranty. She's like, why would I do that? I know you guys were tearing into the engine. I go, I know, that's crazy. So she calls the warranty company. The warranty company tells her, somebody canceled this warranty, and we can't do anything for you.
Those guys down at Done With Care, they're really trying to take advantage of you, and what they've done is they've called and acted like you and canceled your warranty.
So now I've got this torn apart 2014 Hyundai with a blown head gasket that needs an engine, and she just found out that this $5,000 or whatever policy that she had bought through CarMax with their Max Care warranty package had just been canceled
if you paid
by somebody
for it,
at some point.
If you paid for it, how can it be canceled?
I don't know. I don't know if maybe she bought it after the fact. It was through CarMax. It was a Max Care warranty deal. I don't know how the payment arrangement went, but typically they roll it into the financing, right?
Right.
So you would think that they get their money and then the finance company's on the hook for it. But
right.
I'm not sure what the deal was. But they didn't cover it. They just said, nope, she has no coverage. She doesn't have an active warranty with us. Sorry. And she's deciding what she's going to do with this vehicle.
Sucks. It frustrates me because I see so many people go through this, right? And I see the way that they pit repair shops against the client and the client against repair shops.
They tell the client something different than they tell us.
Yeah.
We call in, they tell us one thing, then they tell the client something completely different.
Yep.
The client then gets mad at us.
Yep.
As though we're doing anything wrong.
I'm going through that exact situation with these people right now. And I finally, I'm taking pictures of the phone and I'm sending it to my client saying, we've been on hold for an hour and 20 minutes. They just pick up and hang up, right? They know they're doing this. And he's like, no, they said you need to call first thing in the morning. We spent 6 hours trying to get in touch with this warranty company. And they absolutely refused to talk to us. And he had to call and be like, listen, I am going to contact an attorney. This is wrong. I've listened to their telephone calls. I hear it. You can't tell me that you're not doing something wrong here. And it was clearly evasion. And then so we call back the next morning after he says that, and they answer the phone on the first ring and talk to us. And everything has been about trying to get us to say something, trying to, they say, well, you can't charge him. You can't charge him because we present the estimate for a head gasket, right? And they say, you can't charge him that we have an agreement because we're a warranty company. You can't charge him more than that. The law says you can't charge us that. And I'm like, oh, no. That's not how this works. You're welcome to pay as you like. I look at you as an insurance policy. You will cover part of the loss. I understand you're not going to cover it all. The client's responsible for the rest. And they said, you can't do that. And I said, well, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to explain it to the client. And so the more, when you talk to them like this, all of a sudden they realize you know what you're talking about and you know how to play their game. And they'll comply enough just to get the client on the hook. And then they try and start backing out of it by their terms of service. So it's crazy.
They will try to back out of the coverage with their terms of service because the customer never reads the contract.
Yep. No service records.
They get sold. Yeah, they get told when they buy the contract that, oh, it'll cover the whole engine and transmission. That's usually the most expensive part of the repair. It's like, okay, but you bought a European vehicle and the air compressor for the air struts has failed.
Right.
And you just bought a powertrain contract, and it's just going to cover engine and transmission. Internal components only, no seals and gaskets.
Yep. Well,
or it says we don't cover seals and gaskets and no fluids.
let me ask you this.
So just a part.
when does a Chevrolet vehicle get a cooling system service?
150,000 miles, I think, with factory, or the factory recommendation.
In this situation, they tried to deny the claim and they said, well, we use our own maintenance table.
Really?
Yeah, and our maintenance table says 50,000 miles. And I said, can you...
Well, here's the thing. Here, I'm 100% on board because they should be doing coolant services at 50,000 miles. But if the contract says you're supposed to do it at 50,000 miles and that's what they signed, and then they don't do it at 50,000 miles, like, yeah. But that's sort of the problem is they're not told up front,
right?
Hey, you have a specific maintenance table.
Right. And see, here's the thing is this agreement does say in it that it has a maintenance table that you're supposed to follow maintenance tables. It doesn't explain where to find the maintenance table. It doesn't tell you that there is a specific maintenance table just for them. It just says you have to provide evidence that you've maintained the vehicle, right? But they define how you maintain the vehicle. Shady.
Without telling you.
Right? It's shady.
Yeah, it's shady.
And people talk about auto repair shops ripping people off. Dude, this is as shady as it gets.
This is so much worse.
Yeah.
This is so much worse.
This is down.
All right, let's hear what
let's hear what Buckley has to say.
One in particular that really has us going here at the shop and the clients that have purchased them is Carshield. There are many others, but in particular, Carshield is like the one that's broadcasting the most right now. And we have to tell you that from a professional standpoint, there are so many shortcomings in that service contract and so many loopholes that clients that purchase them are really getting the short end of the stick. There's no question about it that Carshield is really, they make it very difficult for you to put a claim in and actually get paid. And of course, being live, we have all the noises that go with it.
Is Carshield the worst? The worst one?
I think Carshield's the worst. There's some really, really shady ones. I'm not going to call them by name. I don't need them like coming after me or anything. But Carshield is one of the worst we've dealt with for sure.
They're probably top 3. Yeah.
Yeah. They're
as far
nasty.
as weaseling out, like to try to get out of absolutely everything. All right.
So look, I want to give you a couple examples that we see here that we have on the lot today that were Carshield clients, and they were declined their claim, even though you would assume that the reason why the car failed would be covered. All right, so we have our first one here. It's a Dodge Chrysler minivan, okay? Fairly well kept. It's up in age, I guess, a little bit, but what it had going wrong, what it has as the issue is the flywheel.
We know what that's like,
which
don't we?
will not allow the vehicle to start, right? The flywheel is the piece of, it's the component that sits between, good morning, Dennis, is the component that sits between the engine and the transmission. The starter engages the flywheel. The flywheel has teeth. So does the starter's bendix. It comes out, it cranks the motor over. So you effectively, you can start the motor if you've got a lot of muscle on the front end, like a big crank, but the starter takes the place of that.
You think Buckley is old enough to remember starting them by hand? I'm going to text him.
He did say bendix.
I'm going to text him and ask him, okay?
They don't have bendixes anymore. That's a really old term.
Okay. We can keep going. I'm going to text him while we're here. All right. Give me just a second. Hang on.
If the starter teeth does not match up and is capable of turning the engine over, the vehicle will not start. Now, Carshield says it will take care of, you think that it takes care of driveline, engine, and transmission. Well, it could take care of the engine. It could take care of the transmission.
So, hey, in all seriousness, do you see more flywheel failures or flex plate failures than you do engine and transmission failures? I know I do here, right? I see more of those little component failures.
That thing's a 3.6.
That's true.
It's a 3.6. Like that thing's gonna eat
rockers
camshafts
and
timing
cams,
chains.
right?
Yeah.
But here's my point though, is that a lot of the things that fail on an automobile, a lot of the things that we see have problems, are specifically avoided in these terms of service and in these agreements, right? The things that are really causing the problems, they're not covered, right? And I get that the big expensive stuff is covered. I get that. I really do. But a lot of the things that you could earn your money back on buying that policy, the money that you could put back in your pocket and say that was a good investment, is not going to be spent putting an engine or transmission in it, right? It's going to be spent on wheel bearings. It's going to be spent on flex plates that break or a ABS controller that goes out. The little stuff, man, that's where the money goes.
Yeah, and what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of times when you're trying to save money on the contract, so they present you several packages. Well, here's our bronze package. Here's our silver package. Here's our gold package. And they're
the deluxe.
Progressively more expensive. Yeah, they're progressively more expensive. And you're thinking, okay, well, I'm just going to go in the middle. I'm going to get the silver package. And what you don't realize is there's a whole bunch of stuff that silver package no longer covers. Like in this case, they're like, oh, we'll cover the engine or the transmission, but because it's external to both, no coverage.
Right.
And now you've got a very expensive repair where you have to pull the transmission out of the vehicle in order to replace this one component that's going to keep the vehicle from running. And that's unfortunate. Or they will have max coverages on the contract where for this particular component, the most we'll pay out is X amount of dollars.
Right.
We've got a Mercedes that the max, because of the package, the way the warranty is written out, the only thing they'll pay is $3,000 max on a transmission. It's a Benz. It's an E350. You ain't doing a transmission on a Benz E350 for $3,000.
Right.
You're not doing maybe a used transmission on a Kia for $3,000, maybe.
Right.
But that's about it. So the fact that they've got this written in, and in the customer's mind, they're looking at it going, "Oh, I've got the transmission covered. I'm good."
Right.
No, you're not.
And they are master manipulators. Right. They are absolutely master manipulators.
And the way
because they will begin to pin the shop and the client against one another, and they'll say it is covered. We will cover it. Right, we're trying to work with them. We're giving them all this information. We're showing them. I can tell you right now. Look, Mr. Client, I can get online and I can find all these parts, and they don't show that it's all on eBay and that it's all on some like fake whatever website that's got like a fake price. Then you click on it and you get something different. Right? They don't show that. I've literally gotten emails from clients where they have screenshot something and say, "Look at all these parts we're able to buy. I can go to Rock Auto and I can buy this super cheap part for this much, and they're trying to charge you this much." They're really just trying to rip us both off. We think you should find a different shop. That's BS. Right? But now they still, let me ask you this, David. Who's responsible for warranting it if it fails? If that part that was fixed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's always the problem. Like it doesn't happen that often with us, but they'll say, "Well, we're going to ship you the parts." It's like, okay, okay, fine, ship me the parts. I'm not warranting it. It's got a parking lot warranty. And as soon as it pulls out of the parking lot,
and they will tell
not on
you,
me any longer.
They will say to you, no. Part of our agreement is you have to offer at least this much warranty. Yes. No, I'm not doing that. You brought me the parts. Well, but we understand, but you're putting them in. You need to warranty this repair. Are you serious? Right? Like,
no, it doesn't work that way.
Exactly. And there's a lot. I'm getting to the point that I'm going to tell these warranty companies where they can shove it. I'm just about done with them, man. It is crazy.
But it will not take care of the components in between. So this is a loophole that they get you on. So this person is out because you got to remove the transmission to install the flywheel, right? And it's a shame because they're good people, hardworking, and they've put their trust, faith, and money into a product that basically sucks. There's no other way around it. And it is a shame because Carshield is being promoted by a lot of your Hollywood actors, your sportscasters, and a lot of people who they have no clue what they're representing. And the biggest one is Ice-T, right? So
Ice
the
Cube's
actor
in the
Ice-T
Ice-T
is on telling you, "Hey, my car's protected by Carshield." Well, let me tell you that legally, he says what he says is the truth, but it's not by contract. It's not by a warranty contract. Carshield Incorporated could be paying all of his car and maintenance bills, no matter what he drives, no matter what Bentley he rolls in, no matter what Jag he might have, no matter what Tesla he may have. He's compensated, right? He's not buying a warranty. So Carshield targets elderly, they target low-income individuals, they target people who have high mileage vehicles, and they prey on them. Even myself got a solicitation from Carshield, right?
And everybody gets solicitations from Carshield, but he's absolutely right.
Yep.
They are specifically hitting somebody that is driving a 10-plus-year-old vehicle with 150,000 miles, and these people have less than $1,000 in their bank account, and if there is a $2,000 repair, which is really easy to do in just about any vehicle, a $2,000 repair will break them, and they go, well, I can pay $100 a month or $200 a month or $150 a month to Carshield, and Carshield will then cover me. And man, I don't know how often have you had the customer that comes in and says, hey, I have this extended warranty. I know there's something wrong with my car. Can you take a look at it? I just bought this extended warranty.
Right.
And they try to get the extended warranty to cover a pre-existing condition or a pre-existing problem with the vehicle.
Yep. I've had it
happen.
happen.
They're like, no. Yeah. And you have to be like, hey, first off, like they don't cover anything, by the way,
right?
Because you bought this thing off of some late night TV ad. They're not going to cover anything. And also on top of that, you're doing something kind of skeezy.
Well,
and we're not going to participate.
And here's the thing, right? Like, so we talk about these, and they are really an additional insurance policy, right? It's not a warranty. You can't even. I don't understand how they're allowed to call it a warranty. It's not a warranty. Especially in what's sad about it is a lot of people have experienced warranties on other things, right? They've experienced warranties on a TV. They've experienced warranties on a cell phone. They've experienced a warranty on a new vehicle, and they think that's what they're getting because it says it's a warranty, right? I don't think people realize that car dealers are paid. That they get a percentage of the sale by selling this warranty. And the more they sell, they get kickbacks, they get trips, they get all kinds of cool things, just like, all kinds of other companies do, right? They say, hey, listen, if you sell this many warranties, we're going to take you on vacation. So I think a lot of people miss that. But here's the deal, is what does an insurance company use to determine if they're profitable or not? They use something called a loss ratio, and they're unwilling to pay above that. And I'm sure there's ethical insurance companies, and I'm sure there may be some ethical warranty companies. I've never ran into one. But we both have a mutual friend who had knowledge of these warranty companies, and they said, listen, the maximum that you're going to get out of them is about 30%. They want a 70% margin on your contract. And so when you get to that 30% of what you paid in repairs, you want to talk about them getting tough to deal with. And so I began to watch when dealing with these warranty companies, right? And it got to the point that I could call the client and be like, hey, did you pay $2,775 for this? And they're like, yeah, how'd you know that? Well, because when I gave them this estimate and told them it was this much, they said, well, if you could do it for this, right? And then after that first time, they will fight every single time you call back if you call back about that vehicle. This is a numbers game for them. This isn't, they don't care about you. They don't care about your car. They don't care that you have transportation or not. They will tell you they do. They do not. All they care about is their number.
Yeah. All right, let's see.
Saying that, hey, by the way, your new car warranty is running out, and maybe you forgot to sign up, but here, let us show you our policies. So they're very good at getting into your head and getting into your mailbox and getting into your wallet, flat out. So this is just one example, right? They're not going to cover it. So it really does. It really stinks. It really does. So I'm going to show you another example that we have on the lot today. This one's a little bit different, but nonetheless, the young lady purchased the contract. It's I think a 2006 or so Nissan Maxima with a lower end knock to it. Okay, so granted,
and at the very least, these warranty companies should have a list of vehicles you never cover.
Right. Yep.
Like there should be, and this is one of them.
Yep.
You don't cover that year Maxima.
Absolutely.
100%.
Crazy.
They have so many problems, and they're all wildly expensive.
Yep.
I was on the phone with one guy today for extended warranty coverage. I don't know how this lady got warranty coverage on a 2009 Chevy Traverse.
That's crazy.
And
needed timing chains.
You can imagine all the yeah, exactly. It needs timing chain. It needs heads too. But so it needs a laundry list of stuff. It's the same thing that fails on every single one of these Acadias, Enclaves, and Traverses. Every single one of them. You would and that was a conversation I had with the guy. It's like, you guys need to just make a list of vehicles you don't cover. I understand that they sell a lot of these used because they're nice vehicles when they have fairly low mileage, and you would think it's got 75,000 miles. This car shouldn't have all these problems, right? No, they are probably one of the worst vehicles on the road. And they have nothing but problems. They should make a laundry list of vehicles that says, "Hey, if it's on this list, we're not gonna extend any coverage because they cannot make money covering 2006 Nissan Maximas."
Yep, I know.
It may be a case of a little bit more poor maintenance, but nonetheless, you had a contract. So here's the other example that Carshield and other third-party warranties will have you take the burden of proof, meaning that you're going to have to pay for discovery before they may take on the claim. So in this particular case, right, we have a lower end knock. So they want us to confirm that the engine is bad. Well, in order to confirm the problem, the absolute problem, we have to spend almost $1,800 worth of time and labor to discover what we already know, what we can hear, and what any adjuster with common sense would come out and go, yeah, I get it, right? But no, Carshield, to protect its back end, wants us to take the time to tear down the engine to discover what's wrong. Now, that burden falls on the client. So when you call the client up and you go, by the way, you have to take on the burden, you have to pay us to discover, and then maybe your warranty will cover it. That is absolutely horrendous. But it's a loophole.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something about this. That when they ask you to do that, the times that they cover it, man, it is so minute. Like, it is tiny the amount of times they'll cover it. That is usually a almost guaranteed sign they're not covering anything.
Yeah, they're not touching it.
And the minute that you tear into it, I don't know if you've experienced this. Carshield's the worst for it. They will begin to tear you apart. They will begin to say they could have done that damage when they took it apart. And we're not seeing the physical damage. And oh my gosh, look at that sludge in there. Your mechanic didn't tell you about that sludge. You see what I'm saying? Like, instantly.
Don't blame the customer.
Yeah.
They'll say, hey, there's a ton of sludge in this engine. You haven't been doing your oil changes.
Exactly. And they use that. Right? It is discovery for sure, but it is looking for something to get them out of covering it. If I wouldn't be nearly as frustrated about it if they would just come right out and say, hey, listen, we could ask you to tear into it, but chances are if you tear into it and you see anything like this, we're not going to cover it. But they don't do that. They give you this false sense of hope because they need that ammo to make it your fault, not theirs.
How often is bottom end damage not caused by poor maintenance?
Right. Yep. I mean,
unless it's a Kia or a Hyundai.
Those were born with poor maintenance.
No, they had an actual problem. They extended out the warranty and said, hey, we're going to put engines in your cars because, we designed an engine that locks up.
Yeah, and then they said, hey,
it's Tuesday.
That engine that we put in, just so you know, it might catch on fire. We'd park outside if I were you.
Oh, yeah, the fuel rail issue, yeah. But other than Kia and Hyundai, you got to think, like, the Nissan Maxima had its problems.
Right.
The engine wasn't one of them, unless you didn't change the oil.
Yep.
If you didn't change the oil, you were going to have all sorts of issues. And on top of that, the engine barely held any oil. It was like 4.3 quarts or whatever to fill it up. Right. So you have this massive engine with no oil in it, and then it springs a leak on the oil cooler because they all leak from there. It runs low on oil. What happens? You end up with bottom end damage. The warranty company is not going to cover that.
Right.
Almost 100% of the time. Because it's not, the engine didn't come apart due to manufacturing defect. It came apart because there was a leak that you didn't fix. Or you didn't keep the oil level properly. You didn't change the oil. Somehow it's still your fault. And so you're stuck. And so it's really difficult to get coverage for internal engine components. Or internal transmission too, unless it's just one of those vehicles that just fails.
Mr.
all
Mrs.
the time.
Consumer, please listen to me. If they tell you that the shop needs to disassemble it and determine what's wrong, that means they're not going to cover it.
Yeah, there's no chance.
Exactly.
There's no chance. They'll just come back and tell you it was because you didn't do X, Y, Z.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Legal? Sure. Remember the adage, it doesn't have to be fair, it just has to be legal. And they play that up all day long. And even if you look at their website, they have a tagline. The small things matter, something like that. And it's so ironic because they get you on the small things. But what really irritates me the most is how they prey on people who have no clue what to do, and they promise no more car repairs. Never pay for a car repair again. Total BS. Total BS. Total BS. And you can take it any way from there. But the reason I jumped on is because I want everybody to really understand that there are good warranty programs out there. There are good service contracts. We do know which ones are good, which ones are bad. Carshield, bad. X, triple X, quadruple X, X all the way through. Do not get involved with Carshield. And there's a few others that we can name, but nonetheless, I really had to come out and tell you, because two people who have put good money out, and they're probably financing it, and they're probably paying tons of interest on everything, and they can't take advantage of it. These cars are going to go back and sit, not being used until they can come up with the funds to fix the vehicles. A real shame. So,
I would love to know which good ones he thought were, or which ones he thought were good.
I don't know. I don't know.
I've never
We've
ran
had
into one.
pretty good luck with MaxCare. As long as it's not a drivability concern that needs diagnostic time. If it's just like a wheel bearing on a MaxCare covered vehicle, then we'd have an easy time. But if it's drivability, needs diagnostic time, internal engine, anything where the maintenance of the vehicle comes into play, I don't care which company it is, they're all awful. Every single one of them. And it's not even, I understand from their standpoint what they're trying to do. And you're absolutely right. They're like an insurance company, and they can only pay out so much, otherwise they're not going to make any money. And they're there to make money. But it's how they present it to the consumer. Because
it's sleazy.
Greg's 100% right. They sell it as never pay for a car repair again. And so when you tell the customer you have a deductible, they don't cover this. If the customer is floored, and they're like, what do you mean? I paid for this, and it's like, okay, that's great. But rear wheel bearings on the left side of your vehicle aren't covered. And that's what's bad on your car. And by the way, it's $700 to repair. They're like, well, I thought I bought this to cover all that. And this, it's like, sorry,